don't think a lot of people realize that losing sexual interest and affection for your partner is not normal. That, for me, is normally the sign that the relationship is ending because you've been disappointed, feeling unseen, unheard, unloved for so long.
We're gonna cut straight to the business today. When it comes down to an unfulfilling relationship, whether you're a man or a woman in said relationship, it usually comes down to two things. You're not sexually attracted to that person anymore, or they're not giving you tangible items. So essentially, you're not benefiting from them at all. Or at least that's the way that you feel. Because you were never in it for love, for something more, for something meaningful and important. Because if you were, this wouldn't be the reality. It's really not that surprising that it comes down to superficial things. Because if you had a bigger purpose, a bigger goal with the relationship, why you got into that relationship, that would carry you home. The fact that you have the mindset of, what can I bring to this relationship? What can I bring to this man? What can I bring to this woman? It's not about benefiting from this relationship, from getting something out of it, but how can I pour into it so I can gain something from it? So basically, the more and more that I pour into this relationship, the more and more that I'm gonna get back. It's an investment at the end of the day. It's not a savings account where you can just keep drawing from it, because eventually it's going to deplete. If you're not putting anything into that relationship, anything into that savings account, there's nothing that's going to be there. There's nothing that's going to grow. But if it's an investment, you're making a return on what you put into it, then there's no limit to success, because the more and more that you put into that account, into that person, you're going to get it back tenfold. The fact that me and this woman love each other so much, we're down for each other so much, we're going to have a family, build the foundation. Now, all of a sudden, I raise these kids with the right morality, ethics, code, honor, standards, and expectations. Now it's going to be benefiting me. Not to mention the fact that that woman was already benefiting me when we got into the relationship. There was reciprocity, reciprocation, duty, service, cooperation, consideration, compromise. She was allowing me to lead. You really need to think about these things before you get into a relationship.
One of the biggest problems in relationships that causes people to get stuck, feel like they're not satisfied, and feel like the relationship isn't going anywhere is that after a year or 2 years, things get stale. Like, you're in your routine, you think you know them, and you're just kind of going day to day on autopilot, and there's not enough talk about the future, what you're excited about, setting goals to get there, and actually taking steps for growth, both of you. So if you are in a relationship, you want to grow together, you want to stay together, take turns into this question. When you think about our future, what are you the most excited to experience together?
And this is triggering for a lot of women to hear, and I'm not saying every woman, but a lot of women that are in situations where they don't have their own like fulfillment or life anymore because they're so codependent in the relationship. They don't want to face themselves to figure out what it is that's truly like missing. So a lot of them will cover it up with being like, oh, I just need to get married, or I just need to have kids as soon as possible to try to like grasp for that fulfillment. But a lot of times it could be because, again, you don't have your own identity, you don't have your own hobbies, your own friend groups.
They said if you're like their job, they kind of want to just be a mom because they're not fulfilled from their work life. Like, that's what they show me to be aware of if I'm future tripping, if I want something to happen sooner, like marriage or kids or anything. They're like, okay, something in your life you're not like happy with, so figure out what that is, because you don't actually need, you think that's going to make you happy, so you're like, so I was like,
I mean, and everything's from a pure state, because it's like, even that, like, of course there's people that want kids and it would make them happy. You could want those things, but not it's about like needing it to happen now because you're not fulfilled.
Yeah. And then pressuring them so then you feel bad.
And then the guy, when you pressure them, they almost want it less.
You have to really understand, it has nothing to do with growth. Sure, that could be an aspect depending on the people, but more than likely it's not. More than likely it comes down to attraction. Are you even feeling this person anymore? This is what women talk about as the spark. The fact that the spark is gone. There's no more spark, yada yada. It really comes down to, I know this person like the back of my hand, and so nothing about them excites me. They're not spontaneous. I can predict how they're already gonna act. They're not willing to challenge themselves or me in the relationship. And overall, I'm just very tired. I'm very bored. That's why as a man, you need to be chasing your purpose. You're not even at the house because you're on your mission. You're chasing your purpose. You're so busy grinding, getting better in every single way possibly, physically, mentally, financially. Your woman doesn't even have time to be bored because you're never home. Now, of course, you give that reciprocity, appreciation when you are there. However, when you're out slaying the dragon, trying to conquer the world, she knows, well, at the very least, this man's a go-getter. He's a winner, because even if I don't end up with him, he's still driven. He's probably gonna find someone better than me. When you're at home with your girl all day, they're not thinking that. They already know who you are and they're getting bored. The spark is dying by the second. And an unfulfilling relationship has nothing to do with one person overgiving. Because more than likely, the fact that they think they're overgiving usually means that they're not receiving anything from that person. They're not even attracted to that person. So they feel like they're already doing too much by being and staying in this relationship. I want you to really understand that for a second. Nobody's just gonna overgive just because. Because if that's what you were doing at the start of the relationship and now it's halfway through, and you feel like all of a sudden what I was doing in the beginning is just too much to do now, yeah, it's because you don't see them as that guy anymore. Everything was fine in the beginning, but all of a sudden, once you got to really know me, now it's just too much. Yeah, you don't like me. You're not attracted to me anymore. Maybe I gave you the ick, whatever the case may be. Regardless, as a man, you need to stay on your purpose. If she feels like that, oh well. Never convince a woman to like you. Just think about it. If she really saw you as that guy, there's nothing that you can do wrong, essentially. You're always that guy to her, no matter how you look, how you dress, your hygiene, whatever. Whether you're in a good mood or a bad mood, she knows that she can always rely on you. There's something about you that just does it for her. And as soon as a woman drops that feeling, quote unquote, the spark is gone, yeah, it's wraps. The game is over. She's more than likely comparing you to another guy at the workplace or on social media, and that's what she really wants now. Don't get me wrong, you could have just become less ambitious. You got fat. You're not driven or motivated anymore. That could be it as well. But more likely than not, if you're driven on your purpose and she loses it for you, then yeah, it was never there from the start. The relationship was just fueled off what could be, who this man potentially might be.
Your relationship feels unfulfilling because you are unfulfilled. You've never once stopped your partner mid-sex, mid-conversation, mid-argument and gone, hey, that didn't land the way you thought it would. Hey, the sex is really shit. Can we try something else? Hey, this is how I'm really feeling in this exact moment. That's why it feels unfulfilling, because you have needs which aren't being met, and there will always be a disconnect between what you want versus what you're receiving because you haven't been honest. That's not rocket science. That is as straightforward as it needs to be, and someone needed to say it.
What do you do if
Always talking about this, most people don't even know why they're getting into relationships, specifically with that guy or girl. They just know the possible benefits of it: consistent sex, always talking to each other, you have a companion, you go out with each other, you experience each other, and right back again, it comes back to consistent sex. These people out here, especially these young people, are not trying to build a foundation for their family, for their children. They're not purposeful. They're not intentional with dating, with choosing a specific partner, vetting a specific partner to know, okay, this guy or this girl is right for me. They line up with my vision and goals. No, they're not doing that shit. These people are meeting them at bars and clubs. Do you really expect the love of your life and or the person that you're going to build this foundation with is going to be there at those places? More likely than not, no. Because if you yourself was intentional, you wouldn't be there looking for a partner either. More than likely, your significant other would come from your job or career, those circles, or hobbies that you may have. Not just meeting them on some random Friday night at the bar. That's ridiculous. Just really think about it. A person who has a dating app profile, they're super desperate. They're not focused on the journey and their purpose. They're worried about getting some ass. More likely than not, they're a nobody themselves. Or they're just super promiscuous. Because if you're really purpose-driven, you don't got time to be chasing ass. If anything, it comes to you because of how stable you are and your life is, and some people want to experience that. When it comes to dating, I'm gonna dispel some myths real quick. There's no such thing as your guys' chemistry was off. That only has to deal with people who are already unpurposeful and unintentional. Remember, people move towards stability. So if they don't want to be with you, more than likely it's because you're not stable. Mentally, physically, emotionally, as well as financially. Especially if you're promiscuous. Women don't like promiscuous people either, because there's no stability. The second myth is, the relationship before this one was crazy, it was unstable, chaotic. And now that I'm in a safe relationship, oh my gosh, it's just so boring. There's no spark. Everything is always stable. We're never arguing. We're never fighting. That's cope. That's not real. You have to remember, people move towards stability, whether they want to or not, whether they know better or not. More than likely, the dude provides tangible benefits like money, experiences, vacations, trips. However, he has no masculine frame. He's a simp. He doesn't have a backbone. So they don't have that carnal desire for that man. Yes, he provides everything that I need. He's even willing to take care of me. However, I'm not sexually attracted to him. He's such a pushover. He's a simp. He's beta. He's so infatuated with me that anything I put him through, he's just gonna accept and take. He's not a real man. He lacks masculine frame. People move towards stability. That's the reason why everybody wants money and convenience. It's about self-preservation. People move towards stability. She left because she doesn't want to reproduce with you. You have beta genes. You're a beta dude. How can you be a real father if you're just gonna spoil them and not teach them how to be a real man or a real woman? That might go over some of your guys' heads, but that's just the God's honest truth. And not only that, she's not even sexually attracted to you because of your beta nature. How are you gonna dominate this woman in the bed when you're beta in real life? That doesn't even go together. She doesn't want to be dominated by some beta dude. It's disgusting. It's not even real. And even still, more than likely, she's gonna get tired eventually and move on. This is what happens with those stories where they're married like 10, 20 years and then she ends up moving on. This is usually why. She wants to feel the presence of a real masculine man. Masculine frame is essential for a woman to like you, to love you, to care for you, to do anything for you. So if you don't have it, they'll just use you until they're tired of you and then pass you on and go to the next. And if she's willing to tolerate you, but we know that this is the nature of the relationship, she's simply staying within that relationship because she already owns the power. Now it's about dominating you. The last myth is, oh, this relationship is not providing me with spontaneity and adventure. There's no liberation. I can't explore myself or whatever it is that I want. Oh, this relationship is just stagnant and limiting my growth. Once again, it's cope. It comes down to sexual attraction. You're just not attracted to that dude anymore. It's really plain and simple. The truth is in what they're saying. If she wants to be spontaneous, adventurous, liberated, explore more when it comes to her body, yeah, she wants someone else. She doesn't want you. It's really easy to understand that. And that's why I said at the beginning of the video, when it comes to an unfulfilling relationship, it always goes back to, I'm not attracted to him anymore, and or he's not providing me with tangible benefits. So he's not giving me money, he's not buying me things, he's not taking me out, he's not letting me get to experience this luxurious world that all the other girlies are experiencing on TikTok.
There's a kind of relationship decision that doesn't get talked about enough. It's when everything is fine. You care about them, you function well together, life works. Someone asks you why you'd leave, you'd struggle to explain yourself without sounding ungrateful. Nothing is wrong, but there's something not right. It's this inner knowing of, I don't think this is it. And at first, you ignore it. Because walking away from someone stable feels reckless as you build a life together. Because the idea of starting again, going out there and dating and uprooting your life feels exhausting. So you tell yourself, this is just what long-term relationships look like. That wanting more is unrealistic, that comfort is the goal. But that feeling inside you does not go away. It doesn't disappear with more patience, or more memories, or more love. If anything, it gets clearer the longer you try to silence it. This isn't even about your partner, this is about you. You are outgrowing a life that doesn't fit anymore. You are becoming someone different who chose the relationship in the first place. And leaving this feels hard because you're not choosing between good and bad. You're choosing between known and the unknown. And as humans, we don't like uncertainty. But staying and sitting in this type of relationship does come with a cost. You're choosing a life that doesn't fully excite you. So, if nothing changed, if everything stayed the same over the next 10 years, would you be happy or would you resent yourself? We get one life, and we all have to live with the consequences of the paths that we choose, including the ones we stay on. Walking away from someone great but not right is one of the hardest decisions you will ever make. But ignoring what you already know is the number one way to betray yourself.
It's so interesting to me because most people have felt this, especially if you've been in a relationship for a significant amount of time. Specifically, if you were unintentional while dating and choosing your current partner. But only if you're not attracted to that other person. Only if they give you the ick, whatever it may be. That's the only time you would ever feel this as a man or as a woman. It's not that hard to understand. People love to cope with other explanations because they don't want to deal with the harshness of the reality. You're not attracted to that person anymore. You're not benefiting from them anymore. You feel like you're better than them and you deserve more. So now we understand, once they get stability, it's all about desire because the delusion has been destroyed. They got what they thought was impossible, the fact that they were able to get stable with a person, with a man. But now the desire starts to kick in. Now I want more. I have what I wanted before, but now I want more. And usually it comes down to you can't have the whole thing. Most women are not going to find a masculine man who's on his purpose, who makes a lot of money, who's 6 feet tall and everything else, and then be able to lock down that man just all to yourself. And you might just catch him, but he doesn't have masculine frame. Or he drops everything and puts you on a pedestal, and you don't like that. He's not driven anymore. He's not motivated. That's why it's so important to have a purpose for the relationship, not just you as a man or as a woman, but for the relationship. The reason why we're getting into this relationship is to do X, Y, and Z. It's not just so that we can have consistent sex. It's not so just that we have a companion. We don't go to sleep by ourselves anymore. No, it's for something more. It's important because now, every single day, we're working towards our plans. We're working towards our dreams, our ambitions. It's not about, well, I'm just bored. I'm unfulfilled within this relationship. Yeah, but if you had a purpose in the relationship, you need to be working towards that. It's not about how you feel. It's about getting the job done. That's exactly why I say most people don't even know why they get into relationships. It's usually based off attraction. Nothing more than that. Nothing purposeful, nothing intentional, no meaning whatsoever.
Someone posted, when you're in a relationship where nothing is truly wrong, but you don't feel fulfilled or happy, so you're low-key just stuck. And I want to talk about this the right way, because not feeling something doesn't always mean you need to leave. Sometimes it means you need to slow down and really check in with yourself, okay? Because feelings don't just disappear for no reason. So instead of running, ask yourself, am I disconnected from them or have I been disconnected from myself? Because life will life and it will wear you down. Stress, work, being tired all the time, carrying everything. that can make you feel numb, even in a good relationship. And if that's the case, leaving won't fix it. You'll just take that same feeling somewhere else. Now, if you're honest and you realize it's not burnout, it's not stress, it's just that the connection isn't growing, if it's that, then that's when you communicate. Not blame, not accuse, just honestly. Say something like, hey, something feels off for me and I want us to work on it. Because a good relationship deserves a real conversation, not a silent exit. Let me ask you this. Have you actually tried to rebuild the connection, or have you just been sitting in the feeling? Because those are two different things. Sometimes what feels like nothing is wrong is really just two people who have just stopped pouring into each other. And that can be fixed if both people are willing. You don't have to rush to leave something good, but you also don't ignore yourself either. There is a middle ground, and that's where clarity lives.
I've been feeling so unfulfilled in my relationship for such a long time, and I was so blinded by that because I kept being able to go on these beautiful trips, experience these amazing things, go to these amazing events. But when you remove all of that from the equation and you just look at the facts, I was not happy for a very long time. And I stayed because I thought that the treatment that I was getting was what I deserved and all that I was capable of getting. For so long in my dating experience, I've always been like, pick me, choose me, love me, pick me, choose me, love me. I don't have a lot of dating experience because I usually am not the girl that gets chosen. And then the first guy that chooses me, that's the guy that I'm just like, I go all in with without really looking at like the bigger, grander scale of things. This is not my person. It's just the person that finally chose me. And I'm realizing so much now, this is no longer serving me. And it sucks because it's like, I love this person so much, but just knowing that like we're not aligned is a really scary thing, especially because, you know, I don't want to have to meet new people and do all of this. And like, this person is my best friend. But just knowing that like, I have such a clear vision of what I want my future to be, and knowing that right this second, that person can't give me that. I'm at an age where I've put in the work. I've done the things that I need to do so that I can show up for someone in a relationship the way that I want them to show up for me. And I don't want any more projects. I want a guy who's already worked on himself, that we're ready to come together. And it's like, we did the work so that me and you can come together and be great and reach our goals and be successful together. And I don't know, these are just like realizations that I'm having right now. There's light at the end of the tunnel. I know that I was struggling with like wanting to break up with this person for a long time just because they never did anything wrong to me. And like, obviously breakups are so much easier when you could be like, he cheated. This person never cheated on me. At least I hope not. But it's like, why would I leave someone that does love me? But I'm just so unfulfilled in other areas, and I know what I bring to the table, and I want someone that matches that for me.
Once again, these women are not understanding it's not about you, it's about you guys together, building something together. You're gonna both have your strengths and weaknesses. However, you need to bring those together and build something, create something, have a purpose. Because if it's all about you, and this man or this woman has to be all like this, where's the growth? You're just gonna resent that person because they're not who you envisioned in your head. You're so concerned about what you want. Instead, you need to be thinking, how can I pour into this relationship? Or from the jump, understand why you want to get into a relationship. Why are you even dating this man? Because clearly, if it's nothing more than just for his looks and or money, you're already struck out. You're done. That relationship or fling is not going to survive because there's no significance to it. It's just based off attraction and the sheer fact that you don't want to be alone, because she admitted that. It comes down to being lonely. I want to find my guy. I want to find my peace, yada yada. How about find a purpose, find a point? You say that he's treating you a certain type of way, and yet everything's fine within the relationship. Which one is it? More than likely, he's a soft beta dude, he doesn't have masculine frame, and he's just not that guy to her. She says she's going on trips, going here, going there, doing this, doing that. So obviously he has some money, but he's just not that guy. She could even be attracted to him, but he's just not that guy. It comes down to not having a purpose, no reason to actually be dating this guy besides the fact that he's successful in the eyes of society. He's willing to trick on you, and that's pretty much it. But everything else is to be desired. Going back and watching that video a few more times, she contradicts herself several times within the video. She doesn't really want to expose what's really going on within that relationship. Does he have money or doesn't he? Is he tricking on you or isn't he? We don't really know. Because she says one thing and then later on she says, well, that's my best friend, yada yada. I don't really want to get back into the dating market. So which one is it? Is he a beta male? Does he lack a masculine frame? Does he lack the finances? What is it? She doesn't even want to come out and say the truth because she knows it's ridiculous. She should have made this decision or had these thoughts at the start of the relationship, specifically when they were in the dating phase, because now it's just traumatic.
Finding the courage to tell a guy that you're talking to or a guy that you're dating a specific need of yours that you have that maybe he isn't fulfilling or doing enough of is already challenging enough, especially if you're someone that's used to not asking for anything in a relationship because you're afraid that you're going to be too much or too needy. But the real test is when you do actually face your fears and tell the person what your needs are, but then they end up not respecting that need of yours or not following that boundary. And this is where I have always gotten stuck in relationships every single time, because what happens to me is all I think about is how good it feels when we're together. It's perfect when we're together. It feels so right. There's no issues. But then as soon as we're apart and I ask the person for something specifically, let's say in this case it's communication, because maybe to my standard we're not communicating enough and I want to do a little bit more, that person might say, okay, yeah, cool, I totally understand. But then they continue doing what they've been doing the entire time that was bothering me from the start. And it's so hard for me to walk away at that point because all my brain focuses on is the good moments that we've had in person. But what it fails to recognize is that the relationship is still very much happening when that person and I are apart. And in order for a relationship to work, you have to put effort in outside of the time that you and that person are together. And I've gaslit myself so many times in the specific times this has happened because my brain will try to be like, oh, well, it's not that serious. It's not a big deal. You can deal with this because your connection with this person in real life matters more. But then simultaneously, I just continue abandoning myself because I know deep down that a really huge need of mine is not being met. And so it's like, okay, yeah, cool. Even though I've gotten over the first hurdle of expressing my needs to someone, that's like step one. But then step two is, can the other person fulfill that specific need of yours, that specific requirement that you need to feel safe and secure in a relationship? And if that does happen, can you choose yourself and can you honor yourself and walk away knowing that there is somebody else that can fulfill that need of yours and possibly even fulfill it for you without you having to ask in the first place? And it just sucks because like this is another issue that I have is I just project myself onto other people because I know that if somebody were to ask me to change or if somebody were to tell me something that I'm doing that they don't like, I would go out of my way to change it or at least be more aware of it. So when people don't do that to me, when people don't treat me the way that I would treat them, it just makes me want to continue giving them chances because I'm like, okay, well, I know that I would change, so why are they not changing? And it's exhausting and it just gets me into terrible situations. It's so easy when you're not in the situation to be like, yeah, just walk away, like choose yourself. It's so easy. But when you've already started developing feelings for someone and then all this happens, it makes it so much more complicated.
We need to know what kind of communication she's talking about, because if it's simply, how are you doing text, how's work going text, and he's not responding, it's not that big of a deal. However, if it's something more serious where he's going out, not letting you know, doing things and not telling you, then there's an issue to be had there, but we don't really know what you're talking about. It's very vague and very general. And if times are so good while you're with him, that's really all that matters. I mean, to be honest, if you guys are already in a committed relationship, what more can you say? And you know that he's not cheating on you? I mean, what more can you do? What kind of communication are you looking for? Now, of course, communication needs to be had within a relationship. That's the sole core fundamental thing of a relationship. However, what is she specifically talking about? Because she's only mentioning this issue when they're not together. And this is exactly when it goes back to purpose. If you are purposeful and intentional with vetting this man, knowing that he's going to be the father of your children, your husband, and you knew, oh, my husband is not going to be the type to not communicate with me, to let me know what he's doing when he's away from me, then drop him. It's not that big of a deal. The fact that your heart is all wrapped into it is just ridiculous. If you're trying to be functional, purposeful, you would understand and know my husband will not do these actions, so this must not be my husband. It couldn't get any more simpler and clearer than that. This is the very principle that I live my life on. If my woman is not willing to change based on the conversation that we had, then that must not be my wife. That must not be my woman, the mother of my children, because the mother of my children will not be acting like that, saying that, or committing to a compromise and a promise and yet falling back on it. Plain and simple. My heart is not so wrapped up in this woman where I feel like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? I opened myself up to them and was vulnerable and we try to talk about it and yet they still don't want to follow through. She must not be mine then. And in your situation, ma'am, he must not be yours. Plain and simple. What is there to worry about? Relationships and dating is not that serious when it comes to being purposeful. When you know exactly what you want, it's not that hard. Don't make everything a delusional fairy tale. Be very purposeful and intentional when it comes to dating. Well, hopefully she gets it together. Let me know what you guys thought about the topic down below in the comment section. Has this ever happened to you, as a man or as a woman? The relationship was just unfulfilling. And why do you think it was so? Does it have something to do with attraction and or the fact that you're not benefiting from that person anymore? Who knows? If you guys are still here watching, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.